And thanks for joining us here on WLTX Plus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Efren Afonte with the update on the tropics that have gotten, just in the last 10 minutes, noticeably more active. Now, we still have Hurricane Gabrielle, and we'll first start off with that. It's a major Category 4 hurricane, but along with that, there are two areas that we are going to be watching very carefully. One that has got now a 70% chance of development over the next 7 days, a 30% chance of development over the next 48 hours. It's parked right over the Lesser Antilles in the Eastern Caribbean islands. The other one, this one also has increases chances. Over the next 7 days, a 90% chance still, but now a 70% chance over the next 48 hours. But Gabrielle, we'll just quickly look, still a major hurricane. It's a Category 3 hurricane. The 8 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center, it is well far away from Bermuda, well east. Winds sustained at 125 gusts into 160, but every indication it's still going to be heading out to the Atlantic, even as a hurricane, and that's not going to be an impact at all. The other two, well, that's the interesting thing. We'll first start off with Invest 93 in the Central Atlantic. The reason why that is rather interesting is that where it's positioned right now in the Central Atlantic, there are thunderstorms that are developing around it. It's not very organized. Computer spaghetti models are indicating that the 7-day track will be heading through the just north of the Caribbean islands and continue possibly heading towards Bermuda. Again, these are just tracks. We have no indication of its strength or what it'll strengthen to. But the interesting thing about the 7-day tracks is that as its trajectory heads towards Bermuda, if we overlay what Gabrielle has done thus far, it's very similar to the track where some of the projections are based on what Gabrielle did. And Gabrielle was a tropical storm all the way through, and just until it got closer enough to Bermuda where it became a Category 1 and then ramped up even to a Category 4. And the Category 4 was just around the 5 o'clock update. So very powerful hurricane. And again, the reason why it's making this big loop is that there's been a very broad area of high pressure right over the Central Atlantic. Well, if that's the track, what usually happens when you have anywhere from tropical storms to even up to major hurricanes is that the water, the surface temperatures of the ocean water start to cool down because you have something called upwelling. A lot of the water from well below is pulled up due to the tropical cyclone. Well, it's indicative of what the water temperatures are right now. They're scaling somewhere in the tune of about 84 degrees. Now, if you recall, when we were talking about hurricane season about even a month ago, the water temperatures were pushing 86, nearly 88 degrees out in the Caribbean. Temperatures have cooled off somewhat, and that would have considerable amount to do with a Gabrielle. But you go to the west of that, especially when you get towards the Caribbean islands, temperatures are still around 86 degrees in some areas, especially when you get to the Bahamian Islands. Well, they're pushing 88 degrees. Why is that important? Now we'll go to the other tropical wave we're watching, 94L. It's positioned right now right over the northern Lesser Antilles, right over the Leeward Islands. Very poor organization. A lot of the thunderstorms are well east of the Lesser Antilles. But organization is expected. To what type of organization and what kind of development, that is still yet to be determined. But the 7-day tracks, at least a few of them that have been made, go right through the Caribbean islands and possibly over the next 6 to 7 days may position anywhere from the eastern shores of Cuba into the areas of the southern Bahamas. Again, that's where the water is currently 86 and pushing 88 degrees. This, again, has a 90% chance of development, a 70% chance of development over the next 7 days. But as we continue right in the heart of the peak of hurricane season, this one will be very closely watched because, again, it hasn't had a great chance of development. The waters, though, are very, very warm. And with its position where it is at least expected to go, well, all indications is that it's going to be at least a noticeable rainmaker and even is a low-end tropical depression, you're still talking about windy conditions right through the Caribbean islands. And one thing that everyone's going to be pointing out, its 7-8 track puts it just to the south of the mainland along possibly the southern or even eastern end of the Florida Peninsula. Is this any indication it's heading to South Carolina? Absolutely not. But it's worth watching, and we'll be tracking that over the next several days because of the interest. Now, if any of these two, one or the other, develop, the next names on the list will be Umberto. Drop the H and just say Umberto, followed by Imelda, if those two come. But again, we're going to be tracking those very carefully because, again, the further east out, 70 to 90% chance within the next 2 to 7 days. But then the one that a lot of people, especially in South Carolina, will have interest in, a 30 to 70% chance of development within the next 2 to 7 days. And of course, we'll be continuing to track that and monitor its progression right through the week and through the weekend to determine what it'll be doing and if, big word if, there'll be any impacts to the Palmetto State. Well, thanks for joining us here on WLTX Plus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Efren Afante. Stay with News 19. We'll keep you advised.